Welcome. I am so glad to be joined today with the amazing Jennifer Klein. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Welcome. I'm excited.
And inviting me into your home, because
Yes.
I guess you are not here with me. I am here with you.
Yes. Thank you for coming. It's my favorite place to be.
Oh my gosh. This is such a gift to be like inside I don't know. It feels like the Matrix, really. It's like where all of the beauty happens. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dr. Sarah Smith. This is the Going Inward Conversations with Dr. Sarah Smith podcast and videocast on YouTube. And today we are going to be getting into the mind and the heart and the soul of the business and the life of the amazing Jennifer Klein. She is a professional and full-time fine artist and is mistress of all things when it comes to florals and being able to mix so many like medias, and the jars I think are what really stick out for me, and being able to pull the oyster shells. I have so many questions about that. So here we go.
Sounds good.
I know. And I love our tea. It's very, very English, and it makes me very happy.
Well, I'm glad.
Mm-hmm. It's chamomile.
I liked your quote specifically, I think.
Yeah, thank you. So to get started, I'm going to try not to jump into all of my like really big, deep Sarah questions that I do, but it may be a little bit difficult. You and I have known each other for a really long time. And you were a client of mine in the, I would say, not the beginning phases, certainly.
Towards the beginning.
But towards the beginning of it going professional, and in the sense where you were ready to do it full time.
Yes.
But one of the main burning questions that I have is, you're a mom first, you're a wife first, you are a dedicated friend. And how has it turning into a profession? Were there any worries, concerns, fears about like it taking over, when you were starting out? Like, did that come into the equation?
Well, I think I've done a lot of not believing in myself, but disbelief in that it's going to take so much time. It's going to require so much. And so I don't think on the front end I was worried about it, because I didn't quite understand how much love and support I was going to receive. So, so I thought it was going to be no problem. I'll paint when I can paint, and I'll, do some stuff when I do some stuff. And we did have a learning curve. I thought I was going to be doing a few more in-person shows in the beginling. And those, when I left the classroom, which was a hard decision for me to pursue this full time.
Because you were a teacher.
Yes,
first.
Special ed teacher. And I was very connected to my students and still feel that connection. And so for me, it had to work for my family. And so when I started doing some art shows and craft fairs, they're on the weekends. Or nights or weekends, and typically in the fall and the spring, and my husband's an accountant, and it was the opposite of working for us. And so I really had to rethink how to be an artist without it only being, my working kind of outside the home being on those weekends, because I didn't want to be away, from, my son and family on the weekends. So I really only do 2 main shows, if that, and that's what works for us, and boundaries, which are still hard because I love it and it doesn't feel like work. So sometimes I find myself sneaking in here, when I'm not supposed to, and or just one little thing, So I think now it's more, especially, but every time I have a growing kind of, then we readjust.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, you didn't really think it was going to get as big as it was going to get.
No, it's complicated because it's not that I didn't think that I could paint or that I could sell my paintings or that I could be an artist, but I just, no, probably, I guess not. I didn't really And even now I'm like, well, this might be the last time. This might be like the last time.
So it
like,
still comes in.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I had that the other day too. I was like, when is the bubble going to burst?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like walls are going to fill, it's
right.
Well,
it's the stuff that I don't think we talk about enough as people who are artists, creatives, healers at their core, like you are and like I am, and who also feel a calling to turn it into a business. So it is a passion project. Like you have a mission behind you, but we don't talk about that very much. It becomes even more personal. It's not like you got in this.
It's hard for me to explain that I didn't feel like I had a choice to do this as a career. Like, when I quit, when I stopped teaching, I don't think I was expressing even to the people closest to me that this was my goal, but I didn't feel like I had the ability for it to not be the end result.
Yeah. So there was something deep within you that was almost like a tidal wave. Kind of, it was pushing you along, and it sounds like had to let go a little bit, and just one step at a time. I heard you say that, kind of adjust and readjust. Yeah. Yeah. So you then really went from starting out thinking that it was kind of nights, weekends, right, and fitting in between, and then quickly, it sounds like, had to kind of, not quickly, but pivoted to, more of the daytime hours where it wasn't affecting the family.
Yes.
Yeah. And then have you had to make another pivot when things kind of started blowing up and becoming in demand?
Well, I think so I have a learning disability. And so you and I, when we worked together in the very, or not in the very beginning, but in the beginning, I never had a problem sharing the actual painting. It's the words that have to go with it.
Yeah.
Online, or that need to go with it. And so I think what I've realized is I can rely more on other people for that, as I'm trying to go back to your original question, which was
oh gosh, it's evolved.
I know. So I think
going from like how do you balance, and going from like, making sure that you're there for your child and your husband, which was your primary purpose of getting out of full-time special ed teaching, but then still keep,
I think
keep your
focusing on
afloat.
things that are worth it to me, and that changes over time, like what's worth it to me and what I feel called to do, what I enjoy doing, and then it's worth it to my family, and that social media piece is the thing that keeps sticking, because I want to share the art. I have a hard time sharing my voice about the art. So, and that's where I'm thankful that I feel like I'm getting to a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now is the perfect time for my little quote that, that I just, because you did if I'm recalling correctly, when you and I started working together, you knew you were an artist, and you believed in what you did, and you knew that there was something special there. You were very committed and passionate about like who your inspirations were, who you wanted to become. But there was some of that. I think for me, what I remember seeing was two things. It was the how is it going to fit in, and am I going to have what it takes to do the other parts of it? Like you said, not the painting, but the other parts of it, and believing in yourself as a true professional artist. And then the other piece was posting. It was social media. You knew that was going to be a big boost for you and help, other than just the, in-person shows and events. And we did a lot of beautiful work, right? Like mindset work, and also just plan, strategy, organization around that. This was one of the things that I want you to speak more to, because I just was like,
all right, I'm ready.
Oh, it's amazing. Okay. So you had said, and I quote, "If I give any attention or credit to the world's opinion, I will never post. It is important to me to do this for me and to honor me. And I remember putting me in a capital M, like not just an egotistical, like this is all about me. It wasn't about that. It was honoring, again, this force within you that was just driving you to move. Some call it God, right? Some call it spirit, some call it soul. Speak to that. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. You want me to say it again?
Yeah, one more time.
Yeah. If I give any attention or credit to the world's opinion, I will never post. It is important I do this for me and to honor me.
Yeah. So it's kind of emotional. So I don't, in my personal life, I don't, not that it's a rule, but I mean, I'm not on social media. The only reason I'm on social media is to share my art. And it's very important for me to be so authentically what I'm comfortable with, what I'm okay with, and what I want to share. And that changes. And you gave me a caliber that I still use today. Do you know what it was?
No.
So you said that when you go to post something, when you feel a post, you rate it from 1 to 10. Mm-hmm. And, maybe on that day you're okay doing just a 1 post, which for me is like a star emoji or like a heart emoji, just because it's not about the art, no. It's about the writing. So if you want to put the painting out there, just put a heart, that's a 1. And then other days you might be okay with a 6, and maybe you're feeling real brave and you put an 8 or a 10. I don't know that I've ever done 10.
So we're going to hold you to that.
And so that was just really important for me because it just helped me gauge, how I felt about posting that painting or the meaning behind the painting, and acknowledging that most paintings do have some meaning behind them. Not all. But in the beginning, I was like, well, I just wanted to paint that. Or I wanted to paint. Well, no, actually, there was more of a reason. And especially fast forward how many years? I can't remember.
Right. I mean, it was 2019.
There's no way I could paint this many paintings if there wasn't some connection, to them.
Yeah. So I don't know if you all can see, but like we are literally surrounded, and this is just one room, by all of the amazingness. How do you do it? Like, how do you organize? How do you schedule? I mean, because the paintings is one piece of it, and I assume it's probably the majority, right? But there's the print shop that we just started. There's the website, right? Yes. There is social posting and marketing. Yeah. There's buying supplies, there's deliveries, there's talking to people.
Yeah, shipping.
Yeah, talk to us about how this engine runs, my love.
So yes, I think a good way to look at it, since we're in the middle of February, which every February I do what's called 28 February flowers. And at the end of it, I do a collection release of the flowers.
And this is your 6th, correct?
Yeah, I think it's the 6th year it's been done. And I would say maybe my 4th collection. But I mean, and I think that's how we can look at it. You know, the first February flowers, I just painted a little bit. I didn't post. I supported other artists doing it. It was started by an artist, Amanda, in Chicago, Illinois. And she encouraged other people to support artists around them. Yeah. And to put love and light out into the world through florals. And so the first year I didn't post. I beat myself up. Why did I not post? Beat myself. The next year, I posted, but did not offer anything for sale. The next year, I decided, okay, I'm going to post every day, and
that was around the time we started, right? I think it was right before then. Yeah,
and I put them. I decided on the price. I sealed them. I put the back wires on. And I shipped them if they sold, and I did all of that with each painting. And it was very not a great use of my time. And it was fun, and it was exciting, and it was a surprise every time everybody bought one. And that was the last time I did that. And that is where I think my current organization came from, which is I paint in chunks. I answer emails in chunks.
Yeah.
I gesso canvases in chunks. I, put the backings on in chunks. I ship in chunks. So that's kind of how the releases came about. While it's kind of worked out to be an okay marketing strategy, it happened because that's how I could get the most painting time in.
And did that come from being a special ed teacher? Did that come from, having the learning disability of dyslexia? Like, what do you think? Or was it just simply like you, as a business owner, which sometimes very much happens, you try something once, you kind of crash and burn into it, and you're like, okay, that was awesome, and I'm never doing that again. Yeah. I'm going to pivot.
I do think my teacher brain contributes to me, but it's more about planning out my paintings and planning out, I don't know, like that sort of thing, like like a lesson, like, or like what, okay, people really like this, or I haven't done a big one in a while, I don't know. But I do think, gosh, it's a hard question. I think it's a little bit of all of those things.
That makes sense.
I think I get my most painting done. This is a very big secret. I'm not sure if I'm saying out loud, but I get my most painting done when I'm avoiding, avoiding, a commission or and I love commissions, but sometimes I just,
there's pressure.
So productive.
Is there pressure with that?
If I need to answer an email, I'm sorry to everybody who emails me. I just am a little slower on the return of the written tasks. And no matter how hard I try and stay on top of it, I just will come in here and avoid and paint, which works out great for everybody. And
I was going to say, keep avoiding within reason, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I thank you for saying that, because it's important to me in these going inward conversations that we are being honest.
Yeah.
Because this is the stuff that we're not always talking about in small business and entrepreneurship, and being a woman, who's making a go at it. And the statistics are really not great for women being able to, hit the ground running and then keep a successful business going. I think it's why for all of us, or some of us, such as ourselves, that, that little imposter syndrome voice does come in from time to time. It's like, when is the bubble going to burst? Because the statistics are not great for it. But what a wonderful, beautiful way to describe, when you're avoiding something, that you're turning to what you love.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the most productive and inspired when I,
Yeah. And, so, wow, the spreading the love and that light, that I like that phrase, right? I end all of my emails with love and light, Sarah. But get in with that, like, share more about that. Because again, when you and I were working together, you divulged at that time, which now, the world knows about, is that you really were feeling called to have messages behind some of the paintings, and to be putting that love and that prayer. And I remember sharing with you, that Mama Girl, one of my mentors, would pray over everything that she was producing. So talk about the commissions and, about the love that goes into all of your paintings.
Yeah. So I can't say I do it with 100%, but most of them, I should have had one handy.
There's one literally right around the corner.
There is. Yes.
Yeah.
Where when I do that base layer, or multiple base layers, I call it a chaos layer. I start with the gesso, and I will write in, if it's a day that someone needs support, if it's a day that I need support, or I want to show love to somebody, or a place, or a community, I just kind of write in, may you be loved, may you be seen, maybe grounded, or can be even more specific to that. Whatever, I think is needed. And then if we're talking about a specific commission, I can write in things for those that family. I can write in a favorite quote. It can be scratched in, or it can be done with paint in different layers. And original art, I think brings the energy that it has through the artist or the subject or the history or the connection that that person has to it. It might have nothing to do with me, into that person's home. And, that's more important than I ever thought it would be to me, now that I get to do this.
Talk to me more about that it's more important than you ever thought.
Well, maybe in the beginning, I think it was a little bit of the imposter syndrome. Like, I'm just Jennifer, which I still am. But, I'm just, drawing this thing, I don't know. I guess I didn't want to overthink it or be too something. I don't know what I was fighting against, but
we all do.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, okay. So you were maybe fighting against something a little bit, and you were, you were just getting your feet wet into it. Again, you'd been painting since you were young, right?
I did art shows when I was in middle school.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a Vaucluse Shore art show and a decoy show that I did, which is so interesting to me now because my subjects now, oyster cans and oysters and stuff, still fit so much into that kind of original place that I was with carvers on the Eastern Shore and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I want to come back to that. that childhood piece. So with we had this, so you weren't really formulated yet, right? It's kind of like being a baby or a toddler, right? Like you're learning to walk. So, and do it as a profession and do it more frequently, right? Not just for yourself, for others. So when did you start realizing and I'm going to use the word taking on that responsibility, right? Of what it's like to have these artworks bless the home that they're coming into. When did you start realizing it's not just a pretty painting?
I think I, at some point, realized that I took for granted how much original art I was surrounded with my whole life. And how many of those artists I knew personally or my parents knew.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's just a sure thing. There's a ton of artists where I live right now. But I think that I realized that regardless of what they looked like I could literally objectively look at a piece that's on my wall right now. And I could say that is kind of ugly. But I will have that on my wall for the rest of my life and love it and the meaning that it has, the person that gave it or the person that painted it, regardless of what that is.
Yeah.
And there's other pieces I have no clue where they came from or, who the person was.
Sure.
But the subject, it brings me joy every time I look at it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think I just realized that why can't that be the same for somebody else? So,
right.
Why do I have to think about, it's not my responsibility, who or what or why someone connects to my art. My responsibility is making it in a joyful way or a meaningful way and making
I love
it.
that. Absolutely. Yeah. To me, it sounds like your mission really expanded, to realize that we are all here for a purpose and to either make the world, our community, our family, our friends, our, people that we are slightly connected to by the nth degree, to either make the world a better place or to, contribute in the not so great ways. And that it sounds like to me, you took it on as a mission to really let that sink in about what art was for you and what it has done for you. and what it has the potential to do for another.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy that I always, I think about, like, what we wear, what our home looks like all of those things are meaningful and also not meaningful, right? They're just things. But the truth is it's like what we surround ourselves with really does add to or take away from. So I think how you were saying you were surrounded by that original art and that joy, and that it influenced you, whether you were aware of it or not. So if somebody's going to be passing by, right, you want it to have the potential of that effect. Yeah. So let's go back into childhood. So, you did grow up on our beautiful Eastern Shore of Virginia, and were hugely influenced by that. Did you always know deep inside that you wanted or would be a professional artist one day? Was it a hope, dream?
I always, I was only child on a farm, very supportive parents in terms of, any art supply I wanted, and I had plenty of time and freedom there. And I don't ever remember wrestling personally with what it was an artist or not. It was just saying out loud to someone else, and I did have a lot of people saying to me I was an artist, which was, I'm sure, helpful, when you have other people saying that to you. And then when it came time to, okay, what am I going to school for? I'm graduating. I knew I wanted to be in the classroom, help students who needed support, or be an artist, and so I thought about art therapy. But at that time, my mom passed away when I was a senior in high school while I was applying. And I think teaching was the safe route. I will never regret that. And I think it's what I needed. But I think I just always knew eventually, like, I was gonna get there, So, I think it worked out like it was supposed to.
Yeah. Well, it definitely did. And if I'm remembering correctly from one of our session or friend conversations, because it could have been either, as we have had our son with his special needs, you experienced as a child in a rural community having a learning disability, kind of not, some things could have been done differently, right, in the school setting. So it sounds like, why fully you went into it, it was probably very, subconsciously therapeutic to be able to do it a different way and to serve in that way. And then when it was time to shift into the art. Okay. So you always kind of knew, that it was going to be there. I think that's really important. But did you, Babby Dunnington is just one of the, I think, several people who has really been an inspiration for you. Did you used to dream of being that, the next Babby?
No.
It's not even possible, but it is possible.
No,
it's happening.
No, I don't think I ever thought like that. No, but I mean, I will, anytime someone compares me to Babby, I will take it.
Amen.
That's totally fine.
Yes.
No, I just, that's where I think it's this hard thing to explain, that I didn't feel like I couldn't do it, but I didn't know that I was, So whatever this is, and we were talking a little bit about the classroom and leaving the classroom, and that, was very hard to switch from saying I'm a teacher or identifying as a teacher to identifying, well, am I a stay-at-home mom? Am I, am I an artist? Am I allowed to be a stay-at-home mom with one child? It's like all these feelings. And, being able to confidently say that I'm an artist now that's probably like the biggest, thing that I can voice that's changed. And, honoring the commitment I made to myself when I left the classroom to give back whenever I can through my art, whether that's with my time, the flexibility I have with my time that I feel privileged to have, or with the actual art, going to the charities that we support.
Yeah. So honoring the commitment that you made to yourself, I have to point that out, because it's, I was reading something the other day. We sometimes will set these goals or these intentions or desires. And, this individual was kind of challenging us, like, follow through, and so for you to be able to make this something that is viable and flourishing, literally just like the flourishing flowers that it is, and to be able to give back in that way, sounds like it's everything. It's really, really important. But I also want to touch back on, because so often we see people such as yourself, or some people have even said this about me, or other business owners that are further along or whatever, that like they're just so natural in their role. But I want to go back to, like, it's a pretty tumultuous time, right? When you're trying to figure out, like, who you are and where do you fit, and making the decision to leave, those children in that school. It's not lost on me what a probably cry on the bathroom floor sort of moments can be possible with that.
Yeah, I just felt very guilty, very, even to the time I put into getting my degree to be a teacher, then to no longer being used anymore, and the support I'd had from my, dad for that, and parents for that, and to just literally, feeling like I wasn't supporting those students anymore, and making the right choice, contributing to my family. It's just right.
Like the brain goes on and on and on.
Yeah. And then once you've made the switch, I talked about honoring the commitment to myself. One commitment was to give back with my time and my art, because I have that privilege.
Yeah.
And two was to celebrate the small successes. And that is probably been harder than the other.
Really?
Yes, because the other, it's like I'm giving, I'm this and that, what I mean, right? Like who's gonna judge that, right? The one that I felt like maybe could be judged is if I don't know. I mean, an example is
share
when
with us.
I got to 500 followers. Like, was it embarrassing to say I got to 500 followers, or or was it, and do I care about followers? No, but I mean, I need followers. Like, that, it's like, even that's like a lot of,
there goes the brain again. Right.
Like,
the mean girl. I call it the mean girl.
Yeah. And then like, but yes, like, no, like that was huge for me to get there, and then huge to get to 1,000, and I mean, it's important to be proud of those things. It's important to sell your first painting that's, over a certain size. It's important to be proud, of selling your first painting over a certain amount. Like, do you care about that? Like, no, but is it part of this? Yes, And, so I don't know, I mean, everything's connected. So,
it is.
But celebrating those things in some way is huge. And I mean, even like the first time, I had a release and sold, multiple paintings at a time, the shipping took me like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then the next time it took me 2 days. I mean, that's this huge success that no one else saw, but that I saw. I was like, oh, I know how to do this now, Whereas the first time I had no clue. I didn't know how to do it until I figured out I did.
And some paintings were made in the avoidance.
Yes.
You're making me realize right now, I have kind of shifted a lot of things and really only work with a small cohort of one-on-ones right now in the Awaken Your Core VIP mentorship. And I used to, and I still do, partner with Meredith Racine of Moonrise Jewelry.
Yes.
And so she would ship everything for me.
Yes.
Well, I am shipping some of the beautiful packages and everything. And it's a mess. Like there's a lot of avoidance that goes into that. And they will be coming soon, but it is a whole piece. I've helped another person start a business recently, and they had gotten very stuck for probably several months on how in the world do I take these products that I've created and figure out the easiest way to ship them. Talk to me real briefly before we finish up, because I could talk to you all day. Talk to me briefly about pricing, because I know, again, we're taking something that is so near and dear to us that we would truly do for free, I assume, right? Like to a degree, but Kevin won't let you, right? But, people such as you and me, like, we're not in this just for, for profit or for it to be some, it's not like we were behind the scenes, like working out all the numbers. So talk about like how that was like to start having to put prices on.
Yeah. So another artist from the shore who now lives in Richmond, who grew up with my mother, Eliza.
Oh yeah.
Askins, who's a pen and ink artist. She, another artist I got to go visit when I was young and watch her finish a sketch while we were visiting her, after dinner one night. Cool. The idea that she was working while, hanging out with us, hello. Her advice early on was price something as low as you can without regretting selling it, so whatever that is to you, and that you can always, as an artist, raise those prices. But art isn't necessary. I mean, everybody likes a good deal, but it's not necessarily something that you want to see this big fluctuation in. So that was kind of my first piece of advice I remember getting. And then the artist who started February Flowers, who has been a mentor, I've never met her, but Amanda Evanston. She has given a lot of advice, and so many other artists. I want everybody to be successful, and yes. I think just knowing that there's time and things will come, and just that's what I did, and just slowly started and being consistent. And some artists don't agree with this, but the other thing that I do is it's not, again, I try to not make it about me. So all my things are priced by size. So like not by my favorite.
Oh, I love that.
And sometimes I still have a hard time with that, but it's so true. My favorite will sit there the longest.
Yeah.
And, so like, and maybe that's the one I would have priced, if I was just pricing by my emotions, Oh, sorry, I keep hitting that.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
It would be completely incorrect, and the one that possibly I, wasn't as connected to, that's like the most popular. I mean, it's different every release or every.
But I think that goes back to like chunking, right? Like that's a theme. You know me, I like themes and connections, and that's a form of chunking.
Yes.
And I feel like a theme of today has really been, there are so many emotions and guilt or worries or questions or all the things that come in, and we kind of have to do what we can to, detach from that and to at least put it on the shelf for a little while so that we can move forward.
I would say that's 100% pricing for me, is that I almost have to like price the blank canvases and not the painted canvas. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Like I said, we could talk forever. Thank you for this. My final question is, where are you going? Like, art is always evolving, right? Or the artist. So what are you doing to keep yourself fresh? What are you, I know you have to learn a lot about the jars and shells, and where do you potentially see yourself for this continuing to go? Like if we're waving our magic wand and looking forward into the future movie.
Gosh, I think the biggest surprise and blessing has been the learning that's happened that I didn't know, because I enjoyed as a teacher learning different facts, different lessons, different subjects about my kids. And, I had no clue the amount of flowers there were. I had no clue the amount of different blue and white china patterns there were. I had no clue how many oyster cans there were in the world. And I just hope I can continue on that path and continue to connect with things other people connect with, and incorporating those connections into a painting.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I definitely want longevity. I want to be painting when I'm old and gray and so I just hope I get to keep doing it.
Yeah. I feel like one of the evolutions has been, which nobody can see right now, is this incredible printer that's with us, right? And so I hope that we will keep seeing, even more of the goodies kind of being able to show up. And as a physical therapist, it may also save your hands a little bit for that longevity.
So, I mean, the printer really is here in part. You'll appreciate this, because I can output a high amount just by how I do my paintings. I do kind of a pass and then another pass and a layer and layer. And so it ends up, producing a lot of art. And I think the prints and give me the ability to, explore different ways of painting, different output times, special passion projects. So I'm really excited about that and the support that those have received.
Yeah, I like that. That I'm putting my coaching hat on very momentarily. I like that phrase, the special passion projects. That really makes me have lots more questions. And it feels like, once again, it's going to be able to take you back to your mission and what really got you started in a commitment that you made to yourself, which was to be able to also give back. And I don't know, something just in hearing you say that makes that even more possible, because your body, right? And, all of everything that it takes to be able to do this, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot to stand and hold.
Yeah, it's very physical. Physical. I don't know. I mean, and I'm, more on the petite side. I mean, some of these campuses,
they're big, you all. They're really big. Yeah.
So, yes.
Well, we cannot wait to see what is coming, and just even more of the beautiful February flowers. It just means so much that you have met with me today. It's really nice having had the privilege, I'm going to say, to be in the early stages of your business and help you to be a part of just even the behind the scenes mindset work in your personal life and business, right? As it was going forward, was truly a blessing as a friend and as a professional myself. But to be able to be here today, you all, it makes me a little teary because it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening despite all of those little moments where, that doubt may have creeped in.
I think I was beating myself up a ton. Just the little posting piece. Like, now when I don't post, I'm like, it'll happen. Before, I was like, it'll never happen again.
Right. And no one will ever come. It was a big thing. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you all for watching all the way through. And please be sure to follow Jennifer. I'll make sure to kind of put all the links, but she has a new website, right? Well, same with like lots of shifts and new things coming, and be sure to follow her. So thank you so much.
Thank you.